Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to continue with the skinning of the Xahnbi Mara. So let's go. This is the character. We finished the materials in the last video in case you missed that last little part. And we already have the IK handles, our nice group there, so that no one touches our IK handles. Because we're going to be using controllers, of course. Now, before we do controllers, though, I personally like to do skinning first, or close to the beginning, at least a like first pass the skinning, just to make sure things are looking and behaving the way I expect them to. Now, what I'm going to do here is actually very simple. I'm going to, of course, rename this thing because it doesn't have the proper naming conventions. I'm just going to call this Xahnbi Mara Geo. Don't ask me what the name means. I just invented it back then. It's supposed to sound like Aztec or Mayan or something, like very like pre-Hispanic kind of thing. I did use a little bit of that inspiration for the overall design. And yeah, so I'm just going to grab all of the joints, not the root. We do want the body, all of the floating stones. We want the heart. We don't want the neck, though. We don't want any influence on the neck because the neck is not going to be moving anything. We do want the head. We don't want the clavicle on the right shoulder. We do want the right shoulder. We don't want the arm. We do want the hand. No clavicle, no shoulder, just the arm. Sorry, just the hand back here. Okay, so again, the reason why we add this, guys, is just to keep animators a rig a little bit closer to what they would expect. Some other processes or in some studios doing this, like adding extra bones that are not going to be doing any function, might not be ideal because, as I mentioned before, they are adding a little bit of extra performance, but I don't think that we're going to have an issue here. Very well. Now that everything is selected, we're of course going to select the geometry, which again is just a single object to make sure that we only have one skin cluster. Makes it a lot easier to manage. And we're just going to go skin, bind skin, and we're going to go into closest distance, select the joints, maximum flux is 4, which again, this one reminds me a lot about the robot arm that we did at first because all of the objects or most of the objects are solid objects. So it's going to be very easy to just make sure that everything is in the same position. So I'm going to select the geometry, go into skin, paint skin weights, double click of course, and let's start again from top to bottom. So I'm going to start here with the head. And I'm just gonna, I mean, one thing you can do since all of these things are their own like islands, if we just make the stroke like really big, it's gonna be really easy to paint everything the proper color, in this case white, or you can use the flood technique as well to just fill everything. But again, since all of these are just like this, it should be fairly easy to just like paint everything very nicely here. Now, the only issue here, one of the issues that we have is, I actually think there's a couple of like geometries that are kind of wrong. See those? Like the way they're not painting, I think they're not like merged together, the vertices or something. Which shouldn't be an issue because everything is a single object, but just keep in mind that the nicer your topology, of course, the better everything's gonna result. There we go. We're gonna be doing some tests as well, and if we detect that something needs a little bit more weight to it or more paint, we'll just paint it. Let's go now to the right hand. Same deal. Again, we can make the brush bigger, and Maya is smart enough to know that as long as we're not touching any other island, it's only gonna paint on the islands that we have selected or the ones that the brush is actually going over, like that. Now let's go to the shoulder. Same deal, just paint everything white. Very smooth, very simple. Hopefully by now you guys understand my way of teaching. Some of you might already bought some other of my courses, and I tend to follow the same sort of process. Whenever I teach something, I find it a little bit easier to go like step by step rather than jumping directly into like a complete rig. If you by doing like this small exercises that we're doing before, which are completely useful and something that you definitely do on your day-to-day as a rigger, you're also gonna understand a little bit better how everything works inside the rigging department. Now, see this is what I mentioned. Like, I think there's a couple of like crazy vertices there that are not moving the way they should. Very easy way to fix this. Oh, we lost the viewport, don't worry, just click this button here. Hey, if that doesn't work, just reset current workspace. There we go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn off bones, like deselect them, so that when we are just show, and let's turn off bones. There we go. So now we can't select the bones. I'm actually gonna grab the group here, and I'm gonna hide it so that we can't select the IK handles either. Let's jump back here. And now if we go into select, it's gonna be a lot easier to just do like a selection box and just flood. That way we're totally sure that everything is being selected. Oh, sorry. So select, and we do another box here, paint and flood for that little stone. We go for the other one, this one. Oh, sorry. This is probably the tutorial where I've been most allergic, so I apologize for all of the sneezes. Let's go now to the heart, very important. And let's go to replace. Or just select this, paint and flood. There we go. And finally, we're gonna go to the body, which is the other important part, which you can see already has most of the influences as it should, but we need to modify them. Here's a quick tip. You can select this, which is select lasso. Oop. All right, I don't think we can. I thought we had select lasso. No, okay, that's fine. I'm just gonna make a big square here, even though we're selecting other things. And then if you just double click on the islands here, you should be able to deselect all of the other islands, and that way we only have that selection. Just make sure that nothing else is selected. Go back to paint and flood. There we go. Now we can check the joints really quickly. So let's go to joints. Let's turn on our IK handles again. And if I grab my left IK handle, we're gonna get this. Very cool. Am I seeing a little bit of the formation there? No, it's just the axis. So fist moving very nicely. This right hand. Look at that beautiful movement. Because remember that the top part of the character is gonna move because it's the shoulder. So this is one of the cool things. The animator will only need to animate this thing, and we will immediately get a little bit of effects up there on the shoulder, which is gonna be very, very cool. Let's go back. Let's grab the head, for instance. There we go. Even if we grab the neck, this is what we want to do. Again, if I wanted to move the head down, I'll just rotate the neck and then rotate the head forward, and we'll get like this very like a hunchback effect, right? Let's go for the little like the heart. Let's make sure that we can move the heart around. There we go. Now let's go with this, guys. Very important, this guys, to make sure. There you go. Look at that beautiful thing. Like they're gonna be rotating on their own axis, and they're gonna look like they're filled with magic, which is very, very cool. And we can still move them, and we can still rotate them in any direction we might want. And finally, this one. There we go. Let's grab the whole body. So just the main body here. Make sure that everything moves. That's very common. Don't worry about the hands. The fact that they're staying behind, that's because the IK handles are staying behind. That's completely normal. We're gonna fix that with the controllers. But yeah, everything else seems to be working nice. Let's grab the root, and yeah, that's working perfectly fine. So I'm gonna save the scene. I don't think I've saved the scene, so let's call this Xahnbi. Right. There we go. And that's it, guys. Just make sure that your skinning is clean. Make sure that you move your character around. For instance, this one right here, this is gonna be very cool because we're gonna be able to move the shoulder around in case we want to add a little bit more like movement here. That's gonna be very useful. Same thing for this one. Even though the arm is down there, by moving the clavicle, we can add a little bit of an extra movement because you can have the movement on the IK handle, and then you can add extra movement on these areas as well. So again, this is just to add a little bit more flexibility and make it look a little bit more natural. And that's it. That's it for this video, guys. Keep on working. Make sure you get all the way to this point, because on the next one, we're going to start working with the controllers. So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.